Hello everyone! In this video I am going to go over how to write the outline for paper number 1 and give you a quick preview of a student example of what the paper looks like, a rough draft, a final draft of it. So here on Cobra, under the Content tab, we are in the folder for paper number 1, and in the Writing the Paper, here we have the link for the outline. So you can click on here. I've already downloaded it, so here it is. So our outline, what this does is once you have your topic and you know some things about it and you've read some things and watched some things about it, you've got all of these crazy ideas in your head, okay? We've got to put those into an organized fashion. So what the outline does is it helps to tell you how many paragraphs are going to be in your paper. It's going to tell you what each paragraph has to have and where all of your sources, you're going to include all of your sources in. And you want to make sure that as a writer, if you have to write from point A to point E, it makes sure that you've got B, C, and D in there as well. Okay? So sometimes if you find that you've got writer's block, always go back to your outline to take a look at what was the next thing that you're supposed to write about. So here's some things to include in your outline. So first you've got an introduction where you kind of talk about your conspiracy overall. If you have any personal experience with it, obviously that's a really good story to grab your reader's attention. You can start off with that. Maybe it's looking at how old it is and that you're still can't believe people are still talking about it, things like that. The introduction will end with your thesis statement, which is the most important statement of your paper, and it'll have your topic plus your opinion about it. So here in the green and the blue, here are some examples. I believe that JFK was killed by the lone assassin Lee Harvey Oswald. Or I believe that JFK was not solely killed by Lee Harvey Oswald, but was killed by multiple people located in multiple places in Dealey Plaza. Okay, so it shows your reader what you believe with that topic. Now it's okay if you don't if you're not 100%, that's fine. You can still say that I'm 90% sure this theory is a hoax. It's okay to make statements like that. Your body paragraphs are going to follow a format called pies, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So you'll have 3 to 4, you could have more than 4 body paragraphs where you talk about, explain your theory, talk about what the believers think in this theory, what the skeptics think in this theory, and then what you think with this theory. And then you need a possible counter argument where you address opposing viewpoints to your theory, and then a conclusion. You want to make sure that all the sources that you use for this paper are included at least once within your paper. And the more information you put on your outline, the more you'll actually be more prepared and ready and have done for your rough draft. And when we talk about our pies paragraphs, remember they have to have at least one quote within them. And this whole outline is due in the Dropbox before 11:59 on Friday, September 25th. So as you're working on this, if you're not sure about something, you want feedback on it, just send me an email, say, hey, this is what I've got done so far, can I get feedback on it? So below here is basically the format for your outline. And what you can do is you can highlight all of this and copy and paste it into a different document, or you can just go ahead and type on this one as well. That's fine. So here I've broken down into how many possible paragraphs you could have. And you could have more body paragraphs too, depending on how big of a theory your topic is. So again, in your introduction, you need 2 things. A, here is kind of an overall either question or idea that you have about your conspiracy, kind of maybe why you chose, what was it that was interesting about this, why people are still consumed by it, anything like that. Write a few sentences here so that you know where to start. But again, more you write, the more you'll have for your rough draft. And then this is where your thesis will go. Okay, you can just delete this stuff here and then type in what your thesis is. Your body paragraphs according to PIES. Okay, so this is what PIES stands for: point, insert, explain, and summary. Okay, so point. So maybe after your introduction, your first body paragraph is going to be simply explaining what the theory is. Okay, so your main point is going to be, The overall point to the JFK conspiracy theory is trying to decide who really killed JFK. Alright, then you're going to go into detail about what happened that day, who the main players were, and then insert is where you use your source. Okay, you're going to pull a quote from your source, and then you're going to explain how that quote relates back to the main point in this paragraph. Okay, now if you want to put in multiple quotes, that's fine, but make sure that you're not ending your paragraph with a quote. You never want to end your paragraph with a quote. You want to explain that quote. Okay, don't make your reader try to figure out what you're trying to say with that quote. That's your job as the writer. Okay, so you could have a paragraph that kind of looks like P, I, E, and then ends with a quick summary statement, kind of an overall finish to that paragraph. Okay, so that's what each of your paragraphs is going to be organized as. So this one might be about what your theory is. This could be a paragraph about what your believers think. This could be a paragraph about what the skeptics of it think. This could be a paragraph about what you think. Okay, and if you have multiple detailed reasons, then those should go in each separate paragraph. Okay, and then if you feel like it needs that counter argument, there's the counter argument. You're going to say the opposing side to my side says this, but I might find some common ground and agree with them here. However, here's my overall point. And then finally, a quick conclusion. It doesn't have to be long at all. It's going to be your shortest paragraph. A final thought for your reader on this conspiracy theory. So do you think that in 50 years people are still going to talk about this theory? Okay, so that is to organize all your ideas about your conspiracy theory, decide and plan out where everything's going to go in your paper. Okay, so you're going to type this up and you're going to submit it into the Dropbox, and then I'm going to read it and I will email you with any comments, suggestions for changes, things like that. Here is an example of what the final draft, the rough draft, will look like for both of them. Okay, so your first page is going to be your title page. Okay, your information will be centered in the middle. You will have the title, come up with a title for your paper, your name, the assignment, which is paper number 1, conspiracy theory, and then the date. Okay, all of this is in font type, Times New Roman font type and size 12. Okay, the second page, your paper will start at the very beginning. Okay, we're going to use Times New Roman font type 12. Everything is double spaced here on the title page and everywhere else. Okay, make sure at the beginning of your paragraph you indent. You're going to use the tab key on your keyboard, and then in between paragraphs you're not going to put in extra spaces. Okay, so it's going to flow through just like that. Alright, and then the last page is going to be your works cited page, and so if you haven't seen one before, that's what it looks like. It starts at the very top of the last page. It doesn't start here after your conclusion. Okay, I've seen people put it there. It doesn't go there. It goes here. Okay, so when you submit your rough draft and your final draft, make sure your draft in the Word document looks like this. Okay, where everything has its separate page, where the title page is separate, where the works cited is separate, but it's not halfway down the page, it's up here. Okay, so if you make a change somewhere, you've got to go back and look at the formatting of all the other pages. So besides the outline, you're also turning in the works cited page, and so this is what one will look like. Okay, so at the top centered is the title, works cited. If you only have one citation here, it's just going to be work without the S. I've had students misspell this title. Please don't. It's written right here. Copy it correctly. And then you have 5 citations here on this page. Okay, the first word of each citation is put in alphabetical order. So the first letter of the first word of each citation is put in alphabetical order. Okay, then the citation, as you can see, if it goes past one line, all the other lines get indented. Okay, that way it's easier for the reader to access that first word and to see it. So if they're reading through the paper and they see a quote or something and they see the source, they're going to come back to the works cited page and they're going to look for that source and they'll look for that first word. Okay, so it'll be that much easier for them to find. I'm going to do another video where I explain how to type up more about the works cited, and we'll do one of the citations for the papers, for the articles that are required for this paper. So let me know if you have any questions about the general formatting of this paper, along with how to write your outline. Like I said, if you want feedback on it, please let me know. I can give you feedback on how you're doing, okay? And make sure you get that submitted into the Dropbox at the appropriate time before 11:59 on Friday, September 25th. Alright, so after you get the outline done, go watch the video and start working on your works cited page. I'll talk to you later.